the Broncos come up with a temporary name for Mile High, because we couldn't just call it Mile High, right? Walker Stapleton explains why he is a fourth-generation Coloradan, even though he's not from here, and his parents weren't either. Colorado's teachers union gets schooled on the facts after a completely false attack in the race for governor. Who exactly calls off concerts at Red Rocks when the weather gets too rough? A Vietnam veteran's final wish, to die with a roof over his head. And remembering an exceptional young man that we were privileged to meet on Next. What do you call the stadium where the Broncos play? I know that's a trick question. It's called Mile High, but the Broncos can't make money off the name Mile High, so it will forever be called something else. In lieu of a corporate sponsor nailed down for this next season, the Broncos Stadium has a temporary name. Our Marshall Zellinger first told you about this online this morning and now joins us from temporary stadium at Mile High.
No, Kyle, we have a name. It's right. It's not that. It's really, it's nothing, which is why the Broncos are going to call it Broncos Stadium at Mile High.
We don't want to start the football season with the old Sports Authority name associated with the Broncos and with the stadium. So I'm here to request that we temporarily rename the stadium Broncos Stadium at Mile High.
For those of you rooting for Stadium McStadium face, sorry. The board that manages this stadium on behalf of us taxpayers gave the Broncos permission.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
To kick off the 2018 season in Broncos Stadium at Mile High.
I noticed not one board member mentioned Mile High Stadium. Is that a bad term in this room?
No, I don't believe it is. I have a whole collection of family that mentions Mile High Stadium consistently. So I think it's whomever you're speaking with that it fits. And I don't think the Broncos are sensitive to it per se.
An official sign will be put up on the south end of the stadium. Broncos logos will be installed on the other three sides.
I think Broncos Stadium is a good no-nonsense name.
I've always called it the Broncos Stadium.
You might notice the old stadium name getting in the way of this interview.
That has nothing to do with Broncos, so no, that didn't work for me either.
I think it's a little embarrassing because everyone knows they're not in business anymore.
The Broncos are still seeking a corporate sponsor because money from naming rights pays for stadium upgrades and renovations. The team estimates it needs $500 million over the next 30 years. And when it comes time to sell the name again, board member Joy Burns asked a question I couldn't have asked any better.
How are you going to explain that we're changing the name again?
This is temporary, and that new name, one of the reasons why it's taken a while is that we're looking for the right partner that we think will be here for a long time with us.
You know what also costs money? Getting rid of old names. You see it there on the Mile High Walk. You see it on the signs here telling fans where to go, Kyle. It costs money to get rid of it, which is going to be borne by whoever pays to put their name up there next.
I don't know why we're making this so difficult, Marshall. You and I have talked about it for the longest time. You get a weed company named Mile High to come in and just leave it Mile High Stadium. The NFL probably wouldn't like that, would they?
Probably not.
No. All right. Very good. Marshall Zellinger at temporary stadium at Mile High. Thank you, sir. Denver is out of the running for the 2020 Democratic National Convention, telling the party, it's not you, it's me. The mayor's office says Denver backed out of this bid once the official dates were set. There were conflicts with events already on the calendar here in town. Politico's reporting that Denver had made the shortlist. Oh well, DNC. We'll always have 2008. Colorado natives love themselves some Colorado natives. Now listen, we can argue about whether it is good or bad that we are so fixated on where we are from these days, but it is clearly seen as a political advantage by the Republican frontrunner for governor. Walker Stapleton is campaigning on the fact that he is a fourth-generation Coloradan. So about that fact, politics guy Brandon Ritteman explains there's one tiny problem.
The problem is Walker Stapleton was born on the East Coast. He grew up in Connecticut, got his law degree from Harvard, spent a little time in San Francisco, and then in his late 20s, he came here to Denver and got into politics. So with that timeline in mind, listen to this.
I'm a fourth-generation Coloradan, and my kids will be the fifth.
This is a stretch. because it's only true if you stretch the meaning of this term beyond what a reasonable person would think it means, that you were born in Colorado and you have a parent and a grandparent that was too. The Stapleton campaign explained to us how he justifies saying this about himself. They focus on the word Coloradan because that can mean a person born here or a resident of Colorado, which he is. They argue that Stapleton and his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all called Colorado home at some point in their lives. But his grandfather was the only one actually born here, making him a second-generation Coloradan by dictionary definition, the offspring of parents who came to live in a particular country, or in this case, state. The point here is your place of birth is part of the meaning of second, third, or fourth generation. Walker Stapleton could have said he has Colorado roots going back 4 generations, and we wouldn't even be talking about this, but he chose language that makes him sound like a native. Bottom line, Walker Stapleton has done the same thing his controversial great-grandfather did, moved to Colorado for the first time as an adult and then run for office. Because that's not exactly what comes to mind when you hear the term fourth-generation Coloradan, we wanted you to have the facts. With your truth test, I'm Brandon Rittiman.
Stapleton's mom, for what it's worth, she's also from the East Coast. So we called up History Colorado, and they explained that they would define Stapleton as a zero-generation Coloradan. You can bet that's not going to be in the ads. You can check our research for every single truth test we do on 9news.com. Hey, speaking of stuff that isn't true, Colorado's largest teachers union is making a blatantly false claim in the race for governor in a newsletter sent out to its 35,000 members. The Colorado Education Association is not even trying to defend its attack on Mike Johnston, which appears to have been completely made up. They tell me it was a simple accident. The Teachers Union newsletter says that a group that's trying to reform PARA, the state pension system for teachers, gave Johnston $2 million for his campaign. Well, that group pointed out that that claim is completely false, and now even the union acknowledges it never happened. The Teachers Union told me that it is committed to getting a correction to all of its 35,000 plus members who received the original false claim. The union is prominently backing Johnston's opponent, Kerry Kennedy. Great news for southwest Colorado. The San Juan National Forest reopens tomorrow. People who venture into that big economic driver for the region, they won't be allowed to have open fires for the time being, nor can they smoke there. No camp stoves or lanterns unless they have an on-off switch. Fires continue to be the concern. Forest access is going to be restricted in the immediate area of the 416 fire and the Burrow fire north of Durango. The A-line is on a roll, people. State regulators waved off the flaggers from 2 more crossings of that formerly troubled train to the plain. We will soon say goodbye to the babysitters at Sable Boulevard and Monaco Parkway. Flaggers are expected to be removed from the 3 remaining crossings in a few weeks. A reminder, this is a release from the state responsibilities. RTD still needs approval from the feds. Few stories have inspired more of you to reach out to us than the story of Savion Holiday, a young man from Aurora who worked with his dad, Keithan, to build a rec center open to people of all abilities. Sabe's positive spirit and his incredible bond with his father were unforgettable. Sabe passed away yesterday at the age of 16. Our former colleague Cody Broadway remembers Sabe's life and impact.
Unfortunately, we got the sad news yesterday that Savion Holiday ended up passing. Whenever I first met Savion, I walked into his rec center and was really unsure where the story was going to go. I did a little bit of back research, read his bio, but whenever I got there, I wasn't sure really where to take this story. As soon as I met him, his personality just shined through, his laughter. It was a simple reminder of how we should be every single day. And talking to him, the joy that he had for life, the joy that he had for his family, was something that we can all learn something from. Being a parent myself, I couldn't help but look at the relationship between him, Savion, and his father. One of my fondest memories was whenever I asked him, what does your dad mean to you? And he paused, took a couple of breaths, and said,
everything. Honestly, without him, I would not be here. He's literally my best friend.
And that moment just spoke to me off camera of you know, this is truly remarkable. This is a special story. You know, went in telling Sabian's story, but we ended up telling a story of a father and son's, you know, journey together to make this dream possible.
Just because a person looks disabled doesn't mean that they can't think, or that they can't speak, or that they can't have feelings or emotions, or even want to help other people like themselves. And that's my son. He's my hero, for real.
Sabian's dad told us today that rec center in Aurora is his son's legacy. The family asked that we tell you about Sabe's homegoing service. It is this upcoming Tuesday, June 26th at 11 in the morning at Lowry Christian Community Church. Just like the rec center, all are welcome. When there's a storm brewing near Red Rocks, who actually makes the call for a rain delay? Speaking of, it was a whole lot calmer today. Break from the severe weather till it's back in our forecast. And the most Colorado thing we saw today looks like it has a backstory. And it's a good one. That's next. So our Steve Staker and Marshall Zellinger were out at a concert at Red Rocks last night, humble brag, and got to wondering, who exactly monitors when the weather becomes too dangerous to have people outdoors there? Does Red Rocks have its own meteorologist on staff? Texting each other the radar images during the Bare Naked Lady show, which is better than texting each other Bare Naked Lady images at a radar show. But anyway, they were sure that the venue was going to tell everybody to take cover, but that never happened. The storm passed south. Red Rocks told us that they contract with a weather company with a trained meteorologist to specifically watch their location during the show. It is that person who makes the call.
So if they see something in the area, they're giving us a call and saying, hey, there's severe weather 10 miles out, 8 miles out, 5 miles out, so forth. So they're keeping us in the loop, and if we see anything that might be an issue, we're giving them a call and getting updates from them as well.
And Red Rock says they try to give people enough notice that everybody who is able to get to a car, which they say is the safest place. And it's also an issue of volume because Red Rock seats 9,500 people, and the biggest place to take cover is the visitor center, which can only fit about 1,000.
What a difference a day makes on this, the last day of spring, a break from the spring-like severe storms which plague this region just about each and every afternoon. The low pressure area responsible now migrating off to the east, and we are left with a mild but dry day. Temperatures a little bit cooler than average. We'll start to heat back up again as the low moves east. High pressure sets up, keeps the storm track away, and allows in just enough moisture for the clouds that you see outside. And those clouds will be back in the afternoon tomorrow, but not much coming out of them in the way of thunder, lightning, or rain. So that's just a wonderful way to start off the first day of summer. Summer solstice at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. Partly cloudy, 54 degrees tonight. Tomorrow's high at 86. Beautiful day. Sunshine heading into the weekend. We brought in an isolated storm chance for Friday afternoon and again Sunday, with a better chance of rain from storms early next week. And then we're back to the hot 90s for Tuesday and Wednesday. And well, so far so good in terms of the allergy report. Right now, trees the only major culprit out there, and that's a big improvement over where we were last week.
A Vietnam veteran had a simple final request: to die with a roof over his head. The special honor paid him today is next. His name was Daniel. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was homeless for 14 years of his life. He recently knew his end was near. He wanted, over Memorial Day weekend, just one thing: to die with a roof over his head, not on the streets. Today, Daniel was laid to rest at Fort Logan National Cemetery with not a family member to be seen, just some brothers and a person who honored that last request.
Self was forgotten in the cause of the greater good.
I met Daniel about 2.5 years ago. We moved into the same apartment building through the HUD Bash program, and we became friends. Daniel was on the streets for 14 years. Wound up, Daniel needed a caregiver, and we at the time didn't think he had any family, so I moved in with him and became his caregiver.
The call of our country was heard. Comrade Daniel Van Rom, he answered.
Daniel passed away Memorial Day weekend.
We are called upon to fulfill these sad duties of respect for our departed comrades.
I'm with Vietnam Veterans Post 1071.
And the fearless defender of his country and his flag.
One of our projects we refer to as an honor burial, where we are sending people out to different funeral homes and mortuaries and searching for veterans and actually having a ceremony similar to this. They shouldn't be left in a box or in a back cabinet of a mortuary. We should give them a final resting place, and this is a good place to do it.
There's all kinds of organizations that people will just get involved in the community. To keep this from someone from dying alone. He's probably dancing in the clouds.
Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 1071 told us there are a lot of Vietnam-era vets here who just don't know about the resources, the benefits, and the services that are available to them. They're offering to help anybody interested. We have information in this article on 9news.com if you know somebody who might use them. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a photo from back in 2001 that was just recently posted on social media. Matt Siebert from Dallas, remembering his family's ski trip to Colorado. And man, does it look like they got their money's worth. Day 1, Matt's sister fell, sprained her wrist. Day 2, Dad fell, separated his shoulder. Day 3, a girl fell down getting off the lift, took Matt with her. He ended up in the ER with a few stitches and staples below his kneecap. But the lesson of this story is that the Sieberts do not give up easy. They have been back to Wolf Creek to ski almost every year since. You people cannot seem to get enough of our new segment, You've Crossed a Line. Your chance to tell another Coloradan that they are literally out of line. In this case, it's not so much about crossing a line, but just parking regardless of where the lines might be. Just randomly park somebody else in at the King Soopers near Havana in Mississippi. Why do we do this to our neighbors? Come on, people. Be better. Email what you see around town in our parking lots next at 9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. We return with a sign that does not seem to be true, and it reminds us of our favorite sign of all time. Next. It's a sign that proclaims it's always donut time at Donut Time in Arvada. Except when donut time is closed, like when next viewer Chrissy Jensen visited. Then it is most certainly not donut time. Second best donut shop sign we've seen. I still think that my favorite sign of all time submitted by a next viewer was the unfortunate outage in the Lamar's Donut sign at University and Highlands Ranch Parkway. The dim bulbs that rechristened that place Llama Nuts last December. I saw some Lamar's Donuts people last week, and they were still laughing about that sign. Send us the signs you see. Email next at 9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. Laurel writes in and says, sorry, Mr. Stapleton, I am fourth-generation Coloradan. My great-grandfather homesteaded in Larimer County. My grandfather was born and raised here. My father was born and raised here. I was born and raised here. Yes, Laurel, you qualify. It's probably late to get into the governor's race. Maybe next time? The ad writes itself. See you next time.